Well, good morning, my friends. I am Reverend Karen LeBlanc. I minister to this congregation as we minister to each other here. Welcome, welcome. So glad to see so many new faces here this morning. We are a beloved community of people who believe that everyone is worthy of respect, that science is real, that the democratic process is a sacred thing, that we are all part of an interconnected web, and that the light and energy that we share and put out makes a difference in this world. We are people of purpose here at First Unitarian in New Bedford, and if what you hear today resonates with you, we hope that you would consider joining this church and becoming one of our keepers of this long and beautiful dream. So, also, we, the people of the First Unitarian Church, solemnly recognize that the land we inhabit and enjoy sits on the unceded land of the ancestral Wampanoag, the people of the First Light. We actively commit ourselves to the process of working to dismantle the legacy of colonialism and the oppression of our country's native people and all marginalized folk in our country and in our world, for that matter. We have a special guest speaker today, and I'm sure most of you in this room probably know him, Everett Hoagland. And Everett is the emeritus professor in English at UMass Dartmouth. He was the first poet laureate of New Bedford, and his work has appeared in numerous anthologies. His book, The Way, last year in 2023 won the American Book Award for poetry. Amazing. Yes, we give him a round of applause for that. And of course, he has been a longtime member of our church here, so we are so glad to have him. We will also be welcoming Candida Rose. She has a Master's of Science in Transnational Cultural and Community Studies from UMass Boston and produced her capstone program, Cabo Americanas, The Sum of Us, exploring the Cape Verde United States musical connection and legacy. And I've known Candida for a long time as well. We can't wait to hear her beautiful voice later on. So we welcome the both of them here this morning. Quick couple of housekeeping things. If you are new and you want more information about our church, you can sign one of these cards that's in your pew. We are, of course, live streaming this morning. Good morning to everyone out there in TV land. Please join us for coffee hour after the service right through that door. And if you will put your telephones and any other electronic devices into worship mode, we will begin by lighting our chalice. Where's our official chalice lighter? Here he is. Okay, do you have words for the chalice? Or no? That's all right.
Good morning. Well, you sound bright and cheerful. I see some familiar faces out there. I thank you for coming out on the late morning of Super Bowl Sunday. I know you'd probably much rather be getting your snacks together. I know one person in here who's a serious cook who probably has some people coming over to watch the game with him. And I really appreciate him being here, and his lovely wife, Cynthia. Oh, yeah, the thing is that there's a lift here for Lilliputians, and when I get here, I'm so high, I'm away from the microphone. But maybe if I can step down. Can you hear me? Yeah, all right, very good. Thumbs up. Appreciate it. The words for the chalice lighting come from James Baldwin. There's so much hate and division in the country and so much hate in the world, particularly in the Middle East. I thought we'd celebrate African American History Month and, in the spirit of Valentine's, love. The kind of love that I'll be dealing with and about which the poems in the main are written is what in Greek is called agape. It manifests itself in sympathy, in friendship, in uplift, in empathy. And these are words from James Baldwin on love. And he speaks for me, and I think probably for some of you. The longer I live, the more deeply I learn that love, whether we call it friendship or family or romantic, is the work of mirroring and magnifying each other's light. Gentle work, steadfast work, life-saving work. Because in those moments when life and shame and sorrow block our own light from our view, when there is still a clear-eyed, loving person to beam it back, in our best moments, we are that person for one another. The opening hymn is number 95.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Please take the time to greet one another this morning. And if y'all will remain standing, if you don't mind, we're going to read our covenant together, which is printed in your order of service. I think we might have actually run out of orders of service, so look on with a neighbor if you must. We come together as a religious community, upholding freedom of conscience, right relationship, and the inherent worth of all people. We value our diversity and pledge to care for one another in the spirit of compassion, to speak and listen to each other with respect, and to promote justice and kindness in the world. And now we will have our director, please be seated. Our Director of Religious Education, Yasmin Flay Vincent, to give us our story for all ages. Thank you, Yasmin.
Good morning, everyone. So I try to follow the theme of our Soul Matters curriculum, which is justice and equity, and find a story or a poem that I think would fit within this element. And how many of you know Amanda Gorman? Yes, she was the youngest and is the youngest inaugural poet in U.S. history. Power to the little people. An award-winning writer, cum laude grad of Harvard, a National Youth Poet Laureate, and she delivered her poem, An Ode We Owe, at the 2022 United States General Assembly. So I thought, I'll project it and you could watch her deliver the speech. I'm not gonna lie, technology causes anxiety for me, and I'm supposed to be of that era. I'm still paper and pencil all the way. As a school teacher, my students will be able to testify to that. So I'm asking you to close your eyes and bring yourself into the audience of the United States General Assembly, because Amanda Gorman is going to deliver that to you right now. We're just fast forwarding to 2024. And everything she speaks to is, I feel, when we leave this space together, I feel like each of us is a particle of whatever spirit out there that's going to be the ones to transform and act and break down the barriers. So, this is Amanda Gorman, and I'm going to do my best for you to listen. Close your eyes. This 4-minute poem.
UN Secretary General, distinguished guests, and all of humankind. How can I ask you to do good when we've barely withstood our greatest threats yet? The depths of death, despair, and disparity, atrocities across cities, towns, and countries, lives lost, climactic costs, exhausted, angered. We are endangered, not because of our numbers, but because of our numbness. We're strangers to one another's perils and pain, unaware that the welfare of the public and the planet share a name. Equality doesn't mean being the exact same, but enacting a vast aim, the good of the world to its highest capability. The wise believe that our people without power leaves our planet without possibility. Therefore, though poverty is a poor existence, complicity is a poorer excuse. We must go the distance, though this battle is hard and huge, though this fight we did not choose for. Preserving the earth isn't a battle too big to win, but a blessing too large to lose. This is the most pressing truth, that our people have only one planet to call home, and our planet has only one people to call its own. We can either divide and be conquered by the few, or we can decide to conquer the future and say that today a new dawn rewrote. Say that as long as we have humanity, we will forever have hope. Together, we won't just be the generation that tries, but the generation that triumphs. Let us see a legacy where tomorrow is not driven by the human condition, but by our human conviction. And while hope alone can't save us now, with it, we can brave the now, because our hardest change hinges on our darkest challenges. Thus, may our crisis be our cry, our crossroad, the oldest ode we owe each other. We chime it for the climate, for our communities. We shall respect and protect every part of this planet, hand it to every heart on this earth until no one's worth is rendered by the race, gender, class, or identity they were born. This morn, let it be sworn that we are one human kin, grounded not just by the griefs we bear, but by the good we begin. To anyone out there, I only ask that you care before it's too late, that you live aware and awake, that you lead with love in hours of hate. I challenge you to heed this call. I dare you to shape our fate. Above all, I dare you to do good so that the world might be great.
Yes. I love Amanda Gorman. I opened my class to my high school students with her Miracle in the Morning. And yes, this is for the children. So let's go to Sunday school and be great.
That was exquisite, Randy. A word about that piece. It's composed by Duke Ellington, who composed thousands of pieces of music, including many piano solos. He was a fine pianist himself, as anyone who's seen him lead his band with his chords and his body movements, his dancing, knows. I think that he wrote that right after his mother died. He had been very much a mama's boy, and his mother's death devastated him, but he expressed his feeling for her in that piece. You'll have to forgive me. I'm not a preacher. I give public presentations, but I haven't done so in New Bedford for several years because of COVID. I've gotten rusty, and I've gotten old. Very old. And I get confused easily, and I have memory issues. But, so bear with me. We'll get through this. The responsive reading is in the back of the gray hymnal. It's number 568. It's a poem by Marge Piercy. And you read in unison the italicized part. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen. This is how we're going to live for a long time, not always. Indeed. My poem, as prayer and meditation, is fittingly titled Invocation. Architect of icebergs, rainbows, jeweler of crystals, sand grains, snowflakes, atoms, mason, whose tools are glaciers, rain, rivers, ocean. Chemist who made blood of seawater, bone of minerals, and stone, milk of love. Whatever you are, I know this, spinner. You are everywhere, in all the ever-changing above, whirling around us. Yes, in the loose strands, in the rough weave of the common cloth, threaded with our DNA, on the hubbed, spoked, spinning wheel that is this world, solar system, galaxy, universe. Help us to see ourselves in all creation, and all creation in ourselves in one another. Remind those of us who like connections made with similes, metaphors, symbols. All of us are, everything is, already connected. Remind us as the oceans go, so go we. As the air goes, so go we. As other life forms on earth go, so go we. As our planet goes, so go we. Mysterious muse who inspired, in the beginning was the Word. Edit our thoughts so our ethics are our politics and our actions, the afterlives of our words. The next reading is Love versus Hate, and it's on page 597. Second reading, number 597, Love versus Hate. Never does hatred cease by hating in return. Victory breeds hatred. Gaza. They who give up all thought of victory or defeat, let us overcome violence by gentleness. Let us overcome the miserly by liberality. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Candida Rose Batista. In my estimation, the warmest, most versatile, strongest, and in every way beautiful vocal artist anywhere in southeastern New England. Candida Rose. Thank you so much for that. You're welcome so much. Thank you.
So I thank you all. Good morning. I wanted to say something about it first. That's okay. So I just wanted to put the song in a little bit of context because what he just read was a perfect segue. I wrote this song in the summer of 2020, which we all know now was sort of the beginnings of the pandemic that we still kind of find ourselves in. But there was lots of chaos, and there were a lot of things going on where it was a summer, so there was also things going on with civil rights across the country. We were dealing with the tragedy of George Floyd, and there was just so much happening, and lots of ugliness in the world, and even in our country. But I saw beauty. I saw some beauty in the work that I do. I sing for nursing homes, assisted living, adult daycare centers, and I saw the activities directors who were trying to still bring music to those who needed to be uplifted. I saw CNAs, like my own daughter, still going to work and trying to bring that love to the people that they serve. I saw the first responders. I saw the people right here in our own city lifting and helping during that time with love, during the Black Lives Matter movement, and all these different things. And I heard myself saying, we just need to love each other through this. Whatever the other side of it happens to be, whether it's the other side of the pandemic or the other side of the street, we just need to love each other through. And as I was walking down by the water on the harbor walk, I heard these lyrics, and I heard the melody, and I knew that I was receiving a message that we all needed to hear for that time and for times to continue. So let's continue to love each other through. In a world so filled with chaos, when all our hope seems lost, there are treasures we must hold on to, no matter what the cost. Compassion, kindness, and empathy, if we can only name a few. And for humanity's sake, love's the most precious in my view. We've got to love each other through till we reach the other side. We must love each other through. Now's not the time to run and hide. Let's lift each other up in prayer, 'cause there's always solace there. What we need to do is love each other through. If you ever feel like you're falling, don't be afraid to reach for my hand. I'll be there to lift you to safety. I will help you regain your stand. Yes, I am my brother's keeper, my sister's too. No matter what people may say, 'cause at the heart of it all, I know love's the only way. Yes, we've got to love each other through till we reach the other side. We must love each other through. Now's not the time to run and hide. Let's lift each other up in prayer, 'cause there's always solace there. What we need to do is love each other through. As we travel through this life, we realize we're not alone. As we share our good, open up our hearts, we'll find joy we've never known. We've got to love each other through. All right, can I get everybody to just feel this with me? Till we reach the other side, we must love each other through. Now's not the time to run and hide. Let's lift each other up in prayer, 'cause there's always solace there. What we need to do is love each other through. Come on, let me see your hearts. What we need to do is love each other through. Let's love. Thank you.
can have that song with her singing it at will if you get one of her CDs, which will be available downstairs after the service. She's also authored a book on Cape Verdean culture and Cape Verdean music in particular, and that is also going to be for sale downstairs. And I have 6 of my own books left over, in an act of shameless self-promotion, and I urge you to consider picking up a copy, because I'm reading poems from that collection this morning. So, we are at hymn number 10, Immortal Love. Be seated. Gift giving. What do we get by giving? What do you give by accepting a gift? What is inherent within a gift beyond whatever it is? What is meant by in the spirit of giving? Is not that spirit implicit in any gift? What spirit imbues gifts? Indeed, no matter what object, activity, or other thing the gift may be. Your kids' or grandkids' unsolicited kisses, hugs, crayon sketches, or stone, seashells, pine cone, dandelion, penny that she stoops to pick up and give to you. Friends, thoughtful kindnesses. Lovers, love. Strangers, smiles. The giving, receiving is connection. Is not any such expression of that spirit some kind of love in action? And like forgiving, is not giving divine? I'd like to say something about the offertory music and about the postlude. I've gotten old enough to be a grumpy old man about some things, and so I'm going to be a bit of a scold just now. Randy Fayen, our music director, is an excellent organist, a superb pianist. He practices to give us the music that you hear. It galls me and irritates me when he plays the postlude at the end of the service, when people get up and start talking to one another, start ambling and shuffling around and making noise, instead of listening to that end of the order of service. So please give the musician the same respect you give the poet. I'd appreciate that. Randy?
Now is the time in our service where we ask you for your very kind donations, your gifts towards the many good works of this church, and we thank you for your generosity.
service said the prelude and fugue, so I thought that the fugue was coming after the prelude. That's one of my favorite pieces by Bach. Evidently, the fugue is the postlude. So, we've heard about love. Now we're going to hear a bit about its opposite. We have another book coming out in a month or two out of a publisher in Detroit, African-American owned publishing house. And this is part of the introduction to that book. So much has happened since COVID first killed people in 2020. Some of it inspired my recent poetry. The rise of mass, openly fascist right-wing politics, a kind of third post-Reconstruction. COVID itself, accountability facilitating videotape murders of black people by police, revitalization of Black Lives Matter types of organized mass protests. Many of us watched on TV as January 6th happened at the Capitol building in Washington, D.C., and saw the almost unbelievable unfolding before our eyes. A seditious riot, an attempt to effect a treasonous overtake of the national government. Poets look at something and see more than what is there. We also see what that something suggests, that person, place, or thing suggests. So watching January 6th, I saw what happened to Black Tulsa, to Rosewood, to the many other murderous takeovers and destructions of African American communities in this country's history, as are noted and documented on the Equal Justice Institute's righteous annual curriculum-like calendars, lest we forget. Because the fact is, one way or another, from personal experience, I can tell you, America still happens to African Americans every day. Fully conscious vocal artist, superb pianist, and lyricist Nina Simone said, including poets, that artists should reflect the times. Now, traditionally, among many other things, African American poets have been, are, testamentary. And conscious African American poets have never been reluctant to rock the boat, to rock that 1619 slave ship still moored in America's history. Because we know we are still bobbing on the ripples emanating from it, still treading water in those ripples. 4 centuries of political ripples, social ripples, economic ripples, psychological ripples, behavioral ripples. Sublime and life-loving, liberty-loving, pursuit of happiness-loving artistic expressions of hope and faith still rise from under and on the surface of the troubled waters on which that first slave ship's 3,000-mile wake can be sensed. If you know how to read water, as some indigenous people do, and as some poets do. So that gives you a context for what's to follow. Here's a short poem titled, Remember the Future. It begins with a quotation from a poem by Robert Hayden, one of my favorite poets. And this was the way we journeyed from cant to can. Remember the folk who stood up, walked out of hell with howling hounds at their heels, who, carrying babies, pulled by North Star light, crossed Deep River, and though rocky the uphill road they trod, by repetitiously putting one exhausted foot in front of another while carrying the personification of hope, those babies, the living future, traversed the landscapes of possibility, scaled and more easily descended Mount Hope's downside to the futurity that was and is incompletely won, but is still promising frontier of 3 contiguous territories: freedom, equity, justice. Knowing timeline-wise there is always one more river to cross, and history reminds us the way to and across it was, is, shall be how we get from can from can't. So come this presidential election, we've been through that before, and we shall be there again, and we shall get through it. I think we're in for very grave period of time in this country, in the Western Hemisphere, as a matter of fact. What has been the response of African artists, African American artists, to adversity, to massacre, to inequity, to injustice? The last poem deals with that, but this is not there yet, and this is not that poem. This one is titled "Writing to is Doing." When Barack Obama was inaugurated, a good acquaintance of mine, Elizabeth Alexander, was the inaugural poet. And after she recited her wonderful poem, the best part of which is the small poem within the poem, if you review it, that begins, "Say it plain." She walked across the podium and sat down, walked across the stage and sat down, and up rose the living history of the African American experience. Up rose the right-hand man of Reverend Martin Luther King, Reverend Lowry, Joseph Lowry, from memory, reciting from "Lift Every Voice and Sing." And it gave me goose flesh. Because lest we forget that testamentary poem attested to what had to be gone through to get to that day. It was called the Negro National Anthem. It has a history that's very important. It was written in 1900 by the dean then of Black American Letters, James Weldon Johnson. People loved it. His brother, James Rosamond Johnson, put it to music, scored music for it, in 1920, and it caught on in the national black community and went across the community like wildfire. And I remember when I was a little Cub Scout that we sang the national anthem and we sang Lift Every Voice and Sing, the black national anthem too. And we did that at my undergraduate college, Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, which had graduated Langston Hughes, Kwame Nkrumah, Thurgood Marshall, and the like. At every assembly, it often, in storefront meetings towards civil rights strategies, was the only thing that we had to unify us, to rally us in our secular situation. And the song was sung also in black churches and still is sung, and now is sung in white churches, and is often sung and played in this church. The poem is called Writing to is Doing. What did James Weldon Johnson's Lift Every Voice and Sing do for us back when that sermonette poem turned anthem and resolve was all we had to collectively fuel our faith and help carry the burden of our heavy hope, and to unite us in the fight, move us forward? Our choral singing of it was the moving group oral hug that inspirited the struggle, made us one, no matter our number, way before we shall overcome. And what did dreams, the dream keeper, I dream a world, dream deferred by Langston Hughes do for Dr. King, for the most quoted American speech of the 20th century, and for civil rights? What to do? Do, young poets, what we have already done in ways that have helped us get through since 158 years before there was a USA. Do with words what we have done with basketballs. Slam dunk the truths about us in the U.S. the way David Walker and Douglas and Ida Wells did and do. Do with words what we have done with dance. Let your written poems line dance on their pages. Do with words what we have done with double dutch, as Maya Angelou's poem Hopscotch, Jane Cortez's Tapping do. Rally folk at righteous protest marches with call and response rhythms. Do with words what we have done with jazz voicings, as in Nina Simone's and Betty Carter's songs. Just as the Pharaoh Sanders of poetry, Askia Torre, does in his comedic epic Dawn Song, and too as Michael Harper does in his book Dear John, Dear Coltrane. May your truth-carrying, witness-bearing words do us right. Light your generation's way forward out of yesterday through today toward tomorrow, and do. So we remember the future the way your well-worded testamentary predecessors, equity and justice-loving politics of love learned, revolutionary love-loving June Jordan and Bell Hooks did. Do your way what all-in revolutionary Amiri Baraka did for us with his unsheathed razor tongues, weaponized truths liberating the way with language and inventive blues black takes on aspects of cultural tradition. So act on your insights and write, recite, righteously rap your rights, rage and organize as if our lives depend upon it, because they do. Note, as a teacher, poet sage once wrote, The first act of liberation is to escape your own cage. Thank you. I want to introduce you to some members of my family, people who inspired me when I was a kid. First, someone from whom church members here have heard from before, and that is my great-grandmother, Martha Prattis Nichols Brown, who lived to be 111 years old, with sharp mind and healthy, sound body. She was born 2 years before the Civil War, and as a girl remembered Abraham Lincoln's funeral train. She saw men walk on the moon. She was history walking and talking. Grandma Brown. She rose from the rocker, smoothed her dress, unfolded the African American article, pointed it out. Lord, 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 this world's a mess. Folks fighting to be called most oppressed. Colored folk, women folk, old folk. Who's most oppressed? Me, I guess, got it all, being as I'm an old colored woman. But so what? Struggle and strife are facts of life. Your hard-working grandpa's dead, but you are the afterlife of his labor. Our work has been our worship. So take our tattered, threadbare patchwork hope and work with it. Yes, kneel to God, but stand up to people who give to fight your right to the life God gave you. Some say home is where the heart is. Well, that's true if heart is carried, strength, and faith, because in this life, home is wherever your struggle is. And son, the work's not done. We just cleared the ground, plowed and planted. The weeding, the watering, the staking, the watching, the waiting, the long work of love and hope is up to you. We ain't no ways through. So yes, keep the faith, but keep the farm too. Hold on to home ground and learn that living should be learning too. Remember what Fred Douglass read and wrote for you, Francis Harper, Ida Wells, Robeson, Mary Bethune, you're Malcolm X and Dr. King. Main thing, written clear right amongst these headlines here. The whole world's your home. Here, here. And now I want to introduce you to the grandfather I never knew because he died of diabetes kidney failure when my mother was 13. He's the man from whom I got my height and from whom my siblings and I, in direct line, have gotten our diabetes. I have to get the book. You have to understand that all of my grandparents were born in the late 1880s. It's a long time ago. And my grandfather, my mother's father, was named Zebedee Johnson. Zebedee is a biblical name. And he was referred to in the neighborhood in Germantown in Philadelphia as Big Zeb Johnson. He was a carpenter. And the first thing he had to do when he and my grandmother bought a house was to enlarge the doorways, because he wasn't called big for nothing. He was 6 feet 4 inches tall, which was extremely rare in those days. And here he is. This is from oral tradition in the family. My mother and my aunts gave me this information, and I poeticized it. Diabetes can make you feel very tired and very weak. But love is an amazing fuel. Mother's father, red, brown, raw bone, Virginia-born Indian blood, from whom I got my 6'4" size. I'm only 6'2" now. You shrink when you get older. Died of diabetes during the Depression, leaving 3 high-strung, violin-colored daughters, and brotherly love's widow, who I later, as firstborn, man-child, grandchild, named Mama Wawa, who, also sick with sugar, wound up worn out from taking in the world's wash, waiting for that great getting up morning, sweetly mad, with one leg in an old World War I wicker wheelchair, and died of diabetes. I am you, unemployed and blue, sugar-blooded, through those old TB and pneumonia times. You never let those 3, not one of their 6 small feet get wet or cold. When chilling, killing, colorless flakes fell 1 or 2 or 3 feet deep. You took your knife-edged steel coal shovel a pace ahead of their inner row, gosling, walking, and awed eyes gawked. Window shades went up, curtains parted in witness to such love. Philly folk watched you dig down to the slate and brick sidewalks, metal on stone sparks, phosphorescent snow sun powder glinting over and around the fire-crowned big, bent-over upright, steam-exhaling, drive shaft fast locomotive of a man going like 60, leaning into the labor, fathering, the whole long, cold mile to school. Diabetes be damned. Your neighbors came to count on this courtly care. Their kids following yours, all in a row. Those retold winter mornings, so many miles and years ago. Today, the you and me, through genes and oral history, speaks of the gray-haired rigors of the long haul, going on 60, as I deal with my own 3 worrisome, brown sugar teenage daughters and live with diabetes. Those daughters are in their 40s now, and I'm lucky to have any hair at all. This is about something I got from my father, something my son and my grandsons have gotten from me. And it's not diabetes, other legacies that America leaves you. At the end of our living room hospice for him 24 years ago, with my right hand, thumb, and 2 other writing fingers, I close my just dead father's half-open eyes. Even now, I, almost as old as he was then, remembering everything at once, including to what in black and white and in blue uniforms, by his caring paternal way, he had opened mine. the conversation. That passed on, dead up, life-saving, but joyless legacy I have long since shared with my grandsons, more than once, while working in mention of our culture's durable resistance and struggle ethic dream, mountain metaphor, and sung crossroad ways by which folk, yes, had incrementally come out of no way, up to today's marching forward Black lives, human rights, justice with allies. Me mixing the starkly blood red, white, and blue message to and for my grandboys with our testamentary orature, hilarious heirloom barbershop lore, my great Uncle Willie's father wit, our jubilant jazz, jokes, jive, among the other spirited things in our handed-down survival kit that keep us alive. Life-loving, laughing, stand up, open, until we close or someone, something else, closes our eyes. Legacies. This is the last poem before the last reading. Closing words I have left to Martin Luther King. But this is another poem of mine, and it's titled The Music. It's amazing what African Americans have contributed to American music, to make music in this country that much more American. And it's remarkable considering how much blanching has occurred to people of African ancestries in this country, that it has retained as many Africanisms as it has, and that also it is so affirmative, so positive, given the experience that it rises above. It has to rise through that turmoil and trouble in order to express itself, like dandelions coming up out of the cracks in the concrete. The music. No justice, no peace. This is 2020. This has been a spring of cut flowers in hospital shop vases, a season of virtual hugs, ghost pleasure of what has been cut off, cut out, zapped, a time of Zoom screened phone and laptop kisses, ever more acronyms and agonized mass hospital dyings, police killings without family or live last rites, tablets of thou shalt not do this or that, WHO and CDC commandments. This Juneteenth soundtrack is sirens, march time chanting, no justice, no peace, loud honking, warning-giving car caravans, horns at the intersection of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, blast the wrongful rights Jericho walls all around us, loop the city's past memorial murals painted with blood, white lies, and indivisible video-recorded blues, while making a way toward a perfectly pitched modulation in a harmonious rendition of America, the Beautiful, that rings truer, ha, than the Liberty Bell, than the cracked Liberty Bell. An old anthem since the indigo trade out of Africa, that despite the declaration has variously been, yes, a slave work song, yes, a Negro spiritual, prison labor song, strangely fruited jazz tree song, lift every voice, yes, we shall overcome, yes, and righteous rage freighted rap. The nation is again at the bridge of an echoing crossroad blues, an alternate lyric of something chanted differently every 50 years or so, the same old road song, riffed again and again, but not by just us now, not this time, with masses of allies chiming in this time, while on the only road forward, onward we have ever had. Hell, yes. No justice, no peace. Yes. No justice, no peace. Peace. Cease fire in Gaza. Peace. Cease. Hold your fire. Cease. Around that, rally like a choir. Cease fire in Gaza. Peace. Peace. So may it be. In summary, these are the closing words, and they are the words of Martin Luther King on love. Power without love is reckless, abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love, implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power, correcting everything that stands against love. So, what do we take from that? Love is as love does and does not do. Amen.
Thank you all for coming today. Thank you so much, Everett and Candida, for sharing your gifts with us today. Amazing. Thank you. Please join us for coffee hour.